What if the most powerful creature to ever rule Earth didn't fall because it was weak, but because it failed to adapt at the right moment? Most people believe strength guarantees survival, yet the Megalodon proves the opposite. This legendary shark dominated deep water for millions of years, controlled every location it entered, and still became extinct. Sounds uncomfortable, right? That discomfort is the point. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Dominance can blind you. Just like in life, business, or personal growth, being on top often makes people ignore quiet warning signs. The Megalodon didn't disappear overnight. It faded while the world changed around it. And today, many people repeat that same mistake, working harder instead of smarter, clinging to old strategies while the environment shifts. In this story, you're not just learning about a shark, fossils, or ancient oceans. You're uncovering a blueprint about power, adaptation, and survival that still applies now. Understand why the king fell, and you gain an unfair advantage, clarity. Miss it, and history has a habit of repeating itself. The question is, are you watching the signs or swimming past them? But first, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on the notifications. Back then, long before humans ever wondered what lurked in deep water, the Megalodon ruled the oceans with quiet confidence. This giant shark emerged after the dinosaurs were extinct, adapting to a world that was still reshaping itself. During the Miocene era, oceans were warmer, richer, and full of opportunity, and that location was perfect for growth. Think of it like a startup entering a booming market at just the right time. Nature, as always, rewards timing, and the Megalodon understood that instinctively. Paleontologists see the Megalodon as part of a long evolutionary line, not a freak accident, but a masterclass in adaptation. This shark learned to dominate changing seas, the same way smart people learn new skills when industries shift. Fossils show that even early on, it was already larger, stronger, and more efficient than rivals. If someone today wants to learn from that, the lesson is simple. Study the environment before making moves. Read books like Sapiens or The Sixth Extinction to understand how survival always favors awareness. For nearly 20 million years, this apex predator stayed on top, not by chance, but by reading the ocean's signals. Warm currents, prey abundance, and strategic location shaped where the Megalodon thrived. Like choosing where to live or work today, it didn't wander blindly into cold, hostile zones. It followed opportunity, just as smart investors follow strong markets instead of hype. And here's the twist. Those same oceans were already preparing changes that no shark, no matter how powerful, could ignore next. What we know about the Megalodon doesn't come from full skeletons, and that alone already tells a fascinating story. Sharks are made of cartilage, which almost never fossilizes, so what survived time were teeth, massive, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Some fossils measure over 7 inches long, and just holding one in your hand already shifts your sense of scale. Scientists use these teeth as clues, comparing them to modern shark species to reconstruct size, strength, and behavior. It's a reminder that even small pieces of evidence, when studied well, can reveal enormous truths. By analyzing tooth structure and spacing, researchers estimate this shark reached up to 18 meters in length and weighed more than 50 tons. That's roughly 3 times longer than a great white shark, a comparison that helps the mind grasp the absurd scale. Imagine a school bus moving silently through deep water. That's the kind of presence the Megalodon had. Its bite force alone, estimated at 180,000 newtons, could crush bone with ease. In practical terms, it's like understanding leverage in life. Power isn't just about size, but how efficiently force is applied. What makes this even more impressive is how nature engineered such dominance without excess. Every tooth, every muscle served a purpose, refined over millions of years. Fossils don't just show a monster, they show efficiency. For anyone paying attention, the lesson is subtle but valuable. Growth without structure collapses, but growth with design lasts. Whether building a career or a body, studying fundamentals like biomechanics books or basic physics creates a solid base. And just as this giant's anatomy hinted at its hunting style, it quietly prepares the stage for how it fed next. The Megalodon didn't waste energy chasing small meals, and that choice alone explains much of its success. This shark focused on large, calorie-rich prey like whales, seals, and dolphins, turning each hunt into a high-reward strategy. Fossils tell this story clearly. Whale bones marked with deep, curved bite scars reveal where and how attacks happened. Instead of chaos, there was method, an approach any mentor would admire. In life, this mirrors the idea of choosing fewer, higher-impact goals instead of scattering effort everywhere. Its hunting style was precise and ruthless, yet efficient. The Megalodon often attacked flippers and tails first, crippling prey before moving in for the final bite. Think of it like disabling the foundation before breaking the structure. This shark used speed, surprise, and deep water momentum, striking from below where visibility was low. For someone applying this mindset today, the lesson is timing. Act when conditions favor you. Study patterns, whether in markets, habits, or learning, before making decisive moves. What's even more fascinating is how this feeding behavior shaped the ocean itself. Whales adapted migration routes, and ecosystems shifted because this predator existed. A single shark influenced entire food chains, not through noise, but through presence. That's real impact. If a person wants to build that kind of influence, the advice is simple. Master one skill deeply before expanding. Read books like Deep Work or The One Thing to understand focus at this level. And as prey adapted, new pressures quietly began forming beneath the surface. The Megalodon wasn't a wanderer without direction. It knew exactly where abundance lived. Fossils discovered in more than 30 countries reveal a shark that mastered location, favoring warm, shallow coastal waters where prey gathered in numbers. These regions acted like natural highways of food and opportunity, especially along continental shelves. Deep water nearby offered escape, surprise, and strategic advantage. It's a quiet reminder that being in the right place often matters more than raw talent. Although it preferred coastal zones, this shark was no stranger to open oceans. During warmer periods, the Megalodon followed whale migrations across vast distances, crossing entire basins with purpose. This wasn't random movement, it was tracking resources. In human terms, it's like relocating for better work or learning environments instead of staying comfortable. People who thrive often change cities, industries, or routines when opportunity shifts. Books like Atomic Habits help explain how small strategic changes in environment reshape outcomes. What made this global distribution so powerful was flexibility. The Megalodon adapted its habitat as climates warmed and cooled, always staying close to food. Fossils found far from shorelines show how far it could travel when necessary. Yet even with all that reach, subtle changes in ocean currents were already reshaping access to prey. Just like markets change quietly before headlines catch up, the ocean was setting the stage for pressures that would soon challenge even this giant. Around 3.6 million years ago, the oceans began to cool, and this wasn't a small adjustment, it was a full reset. Polar ice caps formed, temperatures dropped, and the warm water zones the Megalodon depended on started shrinking. For a shark built for specific conditions, this meant fewer safe locations to hunt and grow. Fossils from this period become scarcer, quietly signaling stress. It's the kind of slow change people often ignore until suddenly the rules of the game are different. Ocean currents also changed as the Central American Seaway closed, redirecting heat and nutrients across the planet. Whale migration routes shifted, and with them, the megalodon's primary food source became harder to reach. Deep water that once offered advantage now demanded more energy to survive. In real life, this mirrors industries disrupted by technology or climate. Those who don't adapt feel it first. Learning new skills early, like data literacy or digital communication, can prevent being caught off guard later. What's striking is that extinction didn't come from weakness, but from misalignment with a new reality. The megalodon remained powerful, yet power alone couldn't overcome environmental change. This is why mentors often stress adaptability over dominance. Reading books like Who Moved My Cheese may seem simple, but the lesson is timeless. And as the oceans cooled, new competitors quietly began thriving where this giant once ruled. As the oceans changed, new predators entered the scene, smaller in size but sharper in strategy. The great white shark emerged as a faster, more adaptable hunter, comfortable in colder, nutrient-rich waters. While the megalodon relied on size and strength, this shark relied on efficiency. Fossils suggest overlapping hunting grounds, especially for younger megalodons. It's a classic lesson. Evolution doesn't always favor the biggest, but the most flexible. Juvenile megalodons faced increasing pressure from competition and predation. Ancient orcas began hunting in coordinated groups, something no solitary shark could easily counter. These mammals didn't need massive teeth, they used teamwork. In modern life, this is like startups outperforming giants through collaboration and speed. If someone wants to apply this lesson, joining strong communities or mastermind groups can be more powerful than working alone. Natural selection is quiet, patient, and unforgiving. The megalodon wasn't defeated in battle, it was outpaced over time. Smaller predators required less food, adapted faster, and reproduced more efficiently. This mirrors personal growth. Those who learn continuously often outperform those who rely only on past success. Reading consistently, even 10 pages a day, compounds knowledge fast. And as competition intensified, the ocean's balance was already tipping toward an irreversible shift. The fossil record speaks softly, but it speaks clearly. The youngest megalodon fossils are dated to about 3.6 million years ago, and after that, silence. No fresh teeth, no recent remains, no traces in any deep water location where such a massive shark would have to leave evidence. Scientists rely on stratified marine sediments to confirm age, layer by layer, like reading history written in stone. When something disappears from every layer above a certain point, science listens. Modern technology strengthens this conclusion even more. Sonar mapping, deep-sea submersibles, and global ocean monitoring have scanned vast regions where a creature of this size would need to roam. An animal that large would consume enormous amounts of food and leave behind biological traces, yet none have been found. This absence is not a mystery, it's data. In life, missing signals often say more than loud claims. Despite popular myths, there is credible evidence that the megalodon survived into modern times. Fossils give us boundaries, not guesses. If someone wants to apply this mindset, it's about trusting evidence over speculation. Read books like The Demon-Haunted World to sharpen critical thinking. And while science closes one door, curiosity keeps walking forward, leading into the cultural stories and myths that refuse to let this shark rest. When the megalodon became extinct, the oceans didn't become weaker, they reorganized. With the disappearance of this apex shark, ecological space opened for predators like the great white shark and orcas to rise. Fossils show how food chains reshape themselves, proving that nature doesn't like empty roles. In real life, when a dominant force exits, others step in fast. This is why understanding systems, not just individuals, is so powerful. Yet, myths refuse to fade, especially when fear and fascination mix. Pop culture loves the idea that this giant still hides in deep water, unseen and waiting. Fake documentaries, blurry images, and dramatic sightings keep resurfacing. But here's the calm truth. A predator of this size would need constant feeding and would leave unmistakable signs. No location on Earth has produced such evidence. Curiosity is healthy, denial of data is not. The real value of these myths lies in what they reveal about us. Humans are drawn to mystery, and the Megalodon fills that emotional space perfectly. The key is learning to enjoy wonder without abandoning reason. Reading books like Why People Believe Weird Things helps sharpen that balance. And as fascination pulls people toward legends, the deeper lesson quietly points toward what extinction can teach us today. The story of the Megalodon is not really about a shark, it's about change. Even the most dominant predator can become extinct when its environment shifts faster than its ability to adapt. Climate change, habitat loss, and food chain disruption slowly removed the conditions the shark needed to survive. Fossils remind us that power without flexibility fades. This lesson applies far beyond deep water and ancient oceans. Modern sharks and whales now face similar pressures, only accelerated by human activity. Overfishing, warming seas, and polluted locations push species toward the edge. The Megalodon becomes a mirror, showing what happens when ecosystems lose balance. For anyone wanting to act, supporting sustainable seafood, reducing plastic use, or following organizations like Oceana are practical first steps. Small actions, repeated, create real impact. The quiet warning is this: extinction doesn't announce itself loudly. It arrives through small compromises over time. Just as the Megalodon once ruled without fear, modern life can feel stable until it isn't. Those who learn early, adapt early, and act consciously survive longer. And with that understanding, everything circles back to a bigger question: what kind of legacy is being built right now? Now comes the part most people skip, but mentors never do: application. The Megalodon wasn't just a shark, it was a lesson carved into fossils, deep water, and time itself. It shows that awareness beats strength, adaptation beats dominance, and reading the environment matters more than raw power. So ask yourself, where in your life are you relying only on force, habit, or past success? And where could a small shift in strategy change everything? Look at your own location, your habits, your circle, the content you consume. Are you learning skills that will still matter when the environment changes? Are you positioning yourself near opportunity, like the shark followed food, or staying comfortable where growth is slow? Start small. Read one book this month, cut one bad habit, invest time in one skill that compounds. Big transformations always begin quietly. And now, I want to hear from you. What was the biggest insight you gained today? Which part of this story challenged the way you think about power and survival? Share your thoughts in the comments. This conversation matters. If you want to keep learning the hidden lessons, history, science, and what the oceans teach us, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and turn on the notifications. The next insight might be exactly what keeps you ahead.